Hi everyone, my name is Susan and I will be presenting the next two subtopics of this chapter, which is the social distance and the subjective and perspective image. So we'll start off with social distance, we'll start off with the definition. So social distance is the choice made by the image producer between putting the object that is in frame in a close distance, medium distance, or long distance. Now, here's where the image producer depicts how close the object can be seen by the viewers. Now, these shots are important in images because it is able to create different relations between the represented participants and the viewers. So there are three main distances that it can be divided into, which is the close distance, medium distance, and long distance. So let's get a little closer into these three distances. Right, so the size of the frame in this topic, I will compare it to relations of the towards a human being in pictures of people, and is defined through object placement in advertisements or in videos. All right, so we will start off with defined through relations of the human body. All right, so we have close distance where it would include the heads and the shoulders of the subject. So we would have a portrait or a passport size picture. So that would be considered as a close distance. Now, when we say medium distance, it would be where the image is cut off from the waist down. So meaning that the image would only show from the waist up onwards. So it would include the head, shoulders, and the torso. And then we have the long distance, which would go further than the medium distance, which can be it would include from the waist down. So the whole body or maybe until knees of the participants. All right, and then we have the next one where I will define it through object placement. Now, close distance for object placement would be the close-up of the object, which would mean that the object seen can be within reach, or the object, it feels that the object is actually being used by the uh, viewers itself. And then we have medium distance where the whole of the object is shown and only a small portion of the background is actually shown. So we have an image of maybe food on the table as well as a little of the table that is being shown. So this can be it can be when you take pictures of your food to post it on Instagram. So these are we actually use medium distance so that we're actually able to see the surrounding of it for aesthetic purposes, I think. All right, okay. So long distance would include the background, the entirety of the background, and the object that is visible. Now, this will create a feel of being further away from the image and also looking at it from a wider point of view, which means that you are either on top or you are either just watching the image happen. All right, so we'll go into a little detail as well as examples for the distances. So we have the first, oh no, this is not first, this is the first one. We have the first one, which is the close distance. So here is where the object is shot within close distance, all right, or within close shot. So the image suggests that the object, which is the butter on in this case, is within reach or the object is actually being used by the viewers. All right. So I've included two examples. One is a portrait of Abraham Lincoln, and the other is butter being scraped off. So when we say close distance, the image of Abraham Lincoln is how an image or a portrait of a person would be if it is at close distance. All right, so which is actually almost the same as when we take passport size pictures. So this is actually within close distance where we actually see the shoulders and we can actually see the facial features of this person a little bit more clearly. All right. Okay, and then we have the butter on the other hand that looks like it is being used. Now this is usually seen in videos of food, all right, where we actually see advertisements, maybe for butter, where in order to show the smoothness of the butter, we can actually see the knife that's scraping off the butter from the top, and we can actually see the smoothness and the creaminess of the butter. Now this is considered close distance because we can actually see the characteristics of the butter itself and it looks like it is within reach, like we can just stretch out our hands and just taste a little. All right, so this is considered close distance because we can actually look at we can actually see the streak marks of the wrappers. We can actually see the lining meets by the scrapers or the lines here and how it looks like on the inside of the butter itself. So this is considered closer distance because every detail of the image can actually be seen by the viewers. All right. So then we go a little bit further, which is the medium distance. All right, now the medium distance, it works almost the same as close distance, where it gives a feeling of it being within reach, but it does not show that it does not give a feeling that it is not that is being used. All right. This is where I say that you actually can see the surroundings a little, so we can see spices on this side, and we can see the rain on the other side. All right. Okay. So let's go into it one to one, or one by one. Sorry. So we have this is a poster of from a TV series Wednesday, where we actually see it from a medium distance. So her portrait is actually being cut off from the waist down, which means that we can see her arms. All right, and we can see a little bit of the background as well. All right, so it's of a medium distance because we cannot actually see it in much detail, but it is enough to actually show us that she is closer to us. All right, because of the distance that she is towards the screen, or the distance that she is towards the viewer in this case. All right, so then we move to the product placement for the chicken on the other hand, all right, for the fried chicken. All right, so this shows that the image, we see the image of close-up, we can actually look at it, but it is not within reach, which means that it doesn't look like it is big enough for us to actually get it. And we can actually see the crumbs at the side, all right, and the spices as well as a little information about it. Now, this is considered medium distance because it is a little further from close-up just now, which is here. All right, it is a little further, but it's not so far away that we feel that it is, oh, I need to go there to get it, or I can't look into the details of it. So it's not that far, but it is close enough for us to actually look at the image in a little bit details. All right, okay. Then we move to the long distance. All right. So the long distance is where the majority of the background is shown in the shot. So when seeing these images, it feels as if we are looking at it through a display glass. So you know when we're walking through malls and there are display glasses of clothing or display glasses of gold, of necklaces, and it looks like we're looking at it from a display glass or from a museum exhibition. Right, so this is where, all right, the audience feel as if there are silent objects in the image. So for example, we'll take this one, all right, so this is also from a series, all right, Modern Family, where it looks like the viewers is behind the hill, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think it's a hill. All right, they are behind this, the group of the cast, and they're actually seeing they're actually present when the picture was taken. All right, so this is considered long distance because of the shot that is being that where it's further away. All right, and we can actually see the background of it as well as details of the image where we cannot actually see as compared to the medium shot and the close shot, medium distance and close distance, we cannot see the details of the characters, but we can actually see the characters. All right, where it's further away, all right, and and it feels as if we're looking at it through a window, or maybe we're present and we're seeing it happen. All right, and another example is this is a poster from Daredevil. I'm not sure if it's a movie or it's a series. All right, okay. So we actually see the words D and D, all right, the D's that are very visible, but we also can see the entirety of the background where we can see the skyline of the city, all right, and we can actually see um or we can actually familiarize ourselves to what city it is, all right, or where it takes place, but it is also where the distance of the alphabets is actually very visible to the viewers itself. So this is where it looks like it's actually in a display glass or maybe in a museum exhibition where they actually can see what is happening in the shop itself. So it is not just one part of it, it is actually the entirety of the background or the entirety of the video itself. Alright, so just a little recap. We have three main distances when it comes to the social distance. We have the close distance, alright, where it's within close shot, and where the object looks like it is within reach or maybe being used by the viewers. And then we have the medium distance where it's a little bit further, alright, where it suggests that it is within reach but not exactly used by the viewers themselves. And then last but not least, we have the long distance where it's a little bit further away, and it feels as if the viewers are actually looking at it through a museum exhibition or maybe a display glass, or they are participants of it where they are actually viewing what's happening from a higher view or from a lower view or from a further view. All right, okay, so that concludes social distance. So we're moving to the next part, which is perspective and subjective images. So perspective and subjective images, subjective images is actually embedded within perspective images. So we'll go through it one by one. We'll start with perspective images. Now, perspective. All right, so perspective is a Alright, perspective is where the images can create relations as well, and it is considered as the point of view of the viewers. Now, this expresses the subjective attitudes towards the participants of the image. Now, when we say subjective attitudes, it's not necessarily individual assessment of the image, but it is more towards the attitudes towards the image itself that makes it subjective, individual, or unique. Now, I'll use an example which is not exactly from an advertisement, but this is a very favorite example of mine, which is the duck and bunny image. All right, so these are this is a very good example because it gives two different perspectives where some people may view it as a duck, some people may view it as a bunny, depending on how they were to look at it. So perspective works like that as well. So it is the point of view of the viewers, all right, where it is actually able to create different perspective towards different types of different peoples based on their point of view of the image itself. Now, how does perspective fit into images themselves? Now, when perspective fits into image, it creates two different types of perspective. All right, it divides them into subjective perspective and objective perspective. All right, so subjective perspective is when the have images have a central perspective, which means that they have a built-in point of view. I'll give you an example, but off the top of my head, an example that I can give is where you have an image where there's only one object in the image with nothing, no other elements. So it brings your focus towards that one object that is present in the image itself. So which is where the viewers see from one point of view, which means that they only see it from the view of the object that is shown in that image. All right, as opposed to objective images where the images, they don't have a central perspective, which means that it is built without one point of view. So it is where the viewers actually see different or everything there is to know about the participants or the object. So for example, let's say it is advertisement for an advertisement for milk, where we actually have cows at the background and we have the scenery of the farm in the background. So that falls under objective perspective because it actually gives different details of different details of the elements or of the object in the image itself. All right, so we'll look at an example here. So I've taken an example based on the same car, but it is on two different perspectives. So we have the subjective and objective perspective of this car. So we'll start off with the first one, which is the subjective perspective of the car. So in the image, we can actually see that there is only one element in the car. We only have the car itself. We only see the sleek body of the car. We see the wheels of the car. We only see the car. And all right, there is the background and there are two people here, but it does not change any perspective of it. We know that the primary focus is towards the car itself and the name of the car, as opposed to the objective perspective, where we have different elements that is put into the poster. We do have the same car, we do have the same color of the car and the same name, same model, all right, but different elements are added to it, which is the focus is towards the car, yes, as well as the smart drive assist. So we see different details that is being put where where they include the advanced safety assist, driving assist, parking assist, and headlamp assist. Now, this brings the point of view of the image to actually differ from everything else, because we actually see all these different elements that is being put into the image. It actually gives the viewers different types of details of the car itself and not just the body of the car. It gives them different ways to assess the car besides the shape and the model of the car. All right, so that concludes my part. I think we'll move on to the next presenter. We'll move on to Hanis. All right, thank you, everyone.